Welcome back, everyone. Today we have
the Qantu Voce milk chocolate. It is a 60% chocolate noir au lait, so it's a dark milk chocolate.
ingredients are very simple: cocoa beans, cane sugar, whole milk powder, and cocoa butter. And it actually tells us how we should be experiencing this chocolate.
Oh, it says that the ice should experience a golden pale brown color of the chocolate. The nose will feel dried fruits, maybe like plum. Palate should experience honey, caramel, and raisins. And the finish should be moderate and fruity. You know, I don't know how I feel about reading the tasting notes before I taste the chocolate. Do they influence the feel of the chocolate? Or do they bias our judgment? I don't know.
I think it's definitely an attempt to bias our judgment so that we are more aligned with what they intended the chocolate to taste like. But it's very artisanal, looks very nice. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Opening this chocolate, first thing you notice is that the box is a little bit of a bevel. The packaging is very thin, but the cardboard of the box feels very high quality. Inside, the chocolate is packed in a translucent plastic, and you can right away see the logo of the company, Qantu, and these nice little stripes and maybe windows. I would describe it as a window pattern on the chocolate bar. The chocolate bar is not very standard size. I would maybe call it normal length, but a little bit thinner, and definitely on the thinner and narrower side of chocolate bars. You can see here the beautiful house-like patterns of the windows on the chocolate bar. The chocolate isn't very broken up into squares, so breaking up I expect will get irregular pieces. And the snap is a very nice, robust snap. It makes a clean sound when you try to break it.
All right, we're gonna go in for the smell. Smells like a dark chocolate. All right.
So there's a very rich caramelly smell to this chocolate. It feels like a very full-bodied chocolate, you know.
Feels really rough too. I don't expect this to melt very quickly. So that's something I'm thinking of when we go in for the test.
Yes.
Ready?
Yep. 3, 2, 1. Very interesting, very interesting. I'll say when I first put the chocolate into my mouth, I immediately thought, ooh, that's milky. You know, I expected a darker feel to the chocolate, but I got a much more milky feel. And then the second note, you know, maybe 2 seconds later, I got like a little bitter feeling to it. And then maybe 5 seconds later, I totally see what they mean when they say like a fruity prune type of a taste. I definitely got the feeling of like a dried fruit, a very sort of musky maybe, like a feeling to it. I agree with you that it's not a hyper melty chocolate, but it's also not a very dry chocolate. Like you don't have to work it with your tongue.
Yeah.
It'll do its own work.
Yeah, normally I'd bite into it, but I was super surprised that this just started melting instantly. So maybe the butter that they're using is maybe a high concentration, and it's like getting that nice mouthfeel. And then for me, I didn't really get as much of the fruity, but I was kind of connecting it loosely to what they meant by caramel, and that it melts. And then it almost has that burnt sugar bitterness that you can smell through your nose while you're tasting it. So that's when we were going, because it was sweet, and then it would have a little bit of that hint of not really bitter, but a different note was coming in, and it was like, wow, what a complex chocolate. It actually has multiple flavors than just the sweet and just the dark chocolate. So pleasantly surprised.
Very pleasantly
surprised.
I love this word that you've used. You've said the word complex, and I think that's exactly the perfect word to use to describe this. It's a multi-layered flavor experience, and you know, it starts off milky and sweet, and you get that bitter note, and I think you're right, the bitterness likely comes from the caramelization. Maybe too much for me a little bit, maybe just a little bit too much of that bitter, maybe burnt sugar. And then you get that fruitiness at the tail end of the experience. Very complex. I haven't, of the chocolates we've tried so far on the channel, I haven't had yet a chocolate that has delivered 3 different flavors in succession like that. I expected just a pure, sort of a dark milk chocolate, and this one surprised me.
Yeah, I think this is a dark chocolate that I'd actually like and buy again. That's labeled as dark chocolate. So how would you rate it?
I would rate it a good 6 or a 7.
Wow, you're a really tough scorer.
I'm a tough scorer. I think it's an excellent chocolate. It surprised me. I wasn't expecting it. We've had now our seconds. I'm about to go for a third. It's a good chocolate, but I do feel that bitter note. Between the sweet, then there's the bitter, and then there's like the fruity muskiness of the dried fruit. Maybe I do feel that bitter note hits you a little bit too early and maybe too strong. How would you rate it?
I disagree, but I think I'm influenced by your opinion, so I'm more of a 7 for me. But that bitterness, I agree, is something that lingers actually on your tongue afterwards. And now that I'm going in for my second bite, I kind of want a glass of milk or something to cool that bitterness that's lingering on my tongue. So I think that's what maybe some people like when they eat a dark chocolate. So this could be a different take on that. But yeah, it would be like 6.5, 7 for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this time. See you around on the next chocolate review.
Bye.